I've always found the word hate to be an interesting word. Before I go into why, let's identify hate for what it is. It's an emotion. It's an attitude. It can mean we oppose something or we detest or despise it. There are stronger words than hate, like abhor or loathe. But I think most people who strongly dislike something often choose hate as their go-to word. And so here's why I think hate is interesting. First, and this has everything to do with hate being a go-to word, we tend to overuse it. We tend to say, I hate, and then we follow that phrase with whatever it is that is annoying us, frustrating us, making us angry in that moment. Food is a fairly easy target. I hate broccoli. I really don't, but broccoli was the first thing that came to mind when I was writing this sermon. And that's because a lot of children don't like broccoli. I hate shrimp. That's not true either, but I know a fair number of people who do. And shrimp don't like me. They used to, but not anymore. Wait, it's the other way around. But to say we hate a food, if we go back to the definition of hate, is to say we detest or despise it. So let's put that into context. We're talking about, in the case of broccoli, a vegetable. And in the case of shrimp, a crustacean. Do we really dislike them so much that we should say we hate them? Second, we also gravitate towards saying I hate, and then describing a behavior or behaviors. I hate when someone says or does something, like when someone overuses the word like all the time, or when someone talks while eating or smacks their lips while eating. I'm not going to deny when someone says like before every sentence or every other word in a sentence that it's annoying. And let's face it, it can be really annoying when someone talks while chewing their food. Who wants to see that? No one. But hate is a pretty strong word. These behaviors frustrate and might even anger us. But whose fault is that? Is it the person who is doing the behavior, or our response to the behavior that's driving us to say that we hate? Keep in mind, there are some people who can't tolerate or have extreme emotional reactions to certain sounds. I'm not referring to them when I am questioning whether it's appropriate to hate the sound of lip smacking when someone eats, or some other common triggers like water dripping, or the tapping sounds of a keyboard when someone is typing. Now third, we use the word hate to describe people. I hate so-and-so because they did whatever. I'm not going to describe what they did or give examples because it doesn't really matter unless one is trying to determine the degree to which one should hate. Now certainly someone lying is different from someone who murders. But that doesn't mean we will hate one less than the other. And that's because hate is emotional attitude. It's the response that we have when someone hurts us or someone we love. Now lastly, we tend to think of hate as the opposite of love, but the opposite of love and the opposite of hate is the same, and that's indifference. That doesn't mean there isn't a fine line between love and hate, or that love and hate aren't intense, just that they aren't opposing emotions. It's easy to say they are, however. Just think of a married couple who one day are deeply in love and the next are in court fighting over who gets the couch, the house, custody of the dog, custody of the children. But the hate in that scenario is because of the hurt, whether it was hurt caused by growing apart, betrayal, or something else. So one might say, well, hate is justified. The person did something, knowingly or unknowingly, that was unconscionable. But if we hate for whatever reason, who does it hurt? Let's start with broccoli. It doesn't hurt the broccoli. Does it hurt the person who talks with their mouth open while eating? Probably not. Does it hurt the soon-to-be ex-spouse? Again, probably not, unless the hate drives vindictive behavior. But when that happens, we usually call the person or group of people that we hate the enemy. Don't get me wrong. People, groups of people, whole populations or countries become enemies for a reason. When someone wants to injure us, they are an enemy. And when someone is an enemy, our natural instinct is to want to destroy them. And that's why when we're told to love our enemies, we bristle. We feel the hair on our necks stand up. And we want to argue and we want to say, but. When someone hates us, curses us, strikes us, we have every right. We are justified. It's okay for us to hate them, to curse them, to strike them back. What Jesus tells us, though, is that it's not. It's never okay. The only thing we should do is love. It's not enough to love those who love us. It's not enough for us to love our neighbors. We need to also love our enemies. We need to love those who hate us. We need to bless those who curse us. We need to pray for those who mistreat us. We need to do to others what we would want them to do to us. And at the end of the day, what we want others to do to us is to love us for who we are. Make no mistake, this is easy to say and hard to do. It's easy to tell others to do this. It's easy to remind ourselves it's what we are called to do. In practice, it's hard because when someone hurts us, we don't take kindly to it. And what we're being asked to do isn't to be indifferent either. We're being asked to replace the hurt, our hurt, those wounds, the hurt caused by those wounds, with something else. And that something else is love. I have to admit, it wasn't until I was writing this sermon that it hit me. Not like a ton of bricks or a sudden epiphany. It was more like a reminder. When we hate, for whatever reason, who does it hurt? It hurts us. It doesn't hurt the other person. It hurts us emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's a negative influence. It stresses us out, causes our blood pressure to rise, and it moves us not closer to, but farther away from God. It makes perfect sense that Jesus would say we need to love our enemies. Loving them is loving ourselves, is loving God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Being merciful to others is extending the same mercy and grace that has been extended to us. Now, right now, we could all use a little less hurt and a whole lot more love, individually, as a state, as a nation, as a world. This week, I'm going to challenge myself, and I ask you to challenge yourselves. Extend the same mercy and grace that you would want others to extend to you, to others. Be the light of the world and extend that grace and mercy so that the light of the world shines brightly through your words and your actions. Have a blessed week, everyone.